Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Zenitsu, and you're listening to the Digi Talks podcast, the show that covers various topics from news to meta developments and everything in between for the fine folks who love the Digimon trading card game. Just as a quick reminder, I do try to stream this live over on twitch.tv/Zenitsu, usually on Tuesday nights around 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. But fear not if you ever miss that, because it's always going to be uploaded as a YouTube video under the channel of Zenitsu, as well as being on various podcasting platforms like Spotify for reviewing and listening pleasure. Please feel free to do the social media doobly-doo thing and to leave that like, rating, follow, subscribe, whatever, depending on the platform that you're listening on. We really do appreciate the support. Today is actually episode 100, so that's pretty neat. At least for Digitalks, I did have another podcast going before this, which was Wolf's Den. So feel free to check out that. So even though this iteration of the podcast is on episode 100, I've been doing this a little bit longer. But episode 100 as this iteration is a pretty big deal. A lot of changes are coming to the game, and I am back with Jay Stewart, and we just got a lot of different topics to discuss. So we got a little bit of meta development, we got a little bit of news. Well, I guess it's not really news, it's more of like a developer note. And we got store regionals to talk about and events, what you could look forward to up and coming. And the BT20 finalized tier list, so to speak. This one's going to be a lot less math driven because I haven't had the time to throw it all into my usual spreadsheet. Usually it is very cut and dry, but didn't have time to do that because work got busy because we have less people working. Hooray. But anyway, let's start things off with, I would say the question of the week, but I might just cut this segment because it doesn't seem like I get that much participation. So y'all better start answering questions of the week. If you have a question, I guess you want to ask us, feel free to type your question in chat or in the comments down below, and we can answer them. I guess we'll just do it a little bit backwards this time. So, I guess... what do you want to start with, Jay Stewart? We got a lot on the docket.
I think we should just talk about kind of the lesser news. So the give me a sec here, I'm trying to find the exact Reddit thread that I sent to you. Which was the just like a developer letter or something about that. It's gonna take me a while before I properly pronounce it. The Azel, the simulator.
Yeah, it's Elysian.
Elysian. I don't know why I can't pronounce that for some reason.
Because it's a funny word. But yeah, so we have Producers Letter Volume 2. I don't really remember a Volume 1, but I could be wrong. I almost want to check the news to see if there was a Volume 1. No. Oh, wait.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing one.
Producers. Oh, that was all the way back in December. What did they say in December? Hold on.
There's no way they said anything about this in December, or else we wouldn't have had such the hype reveal for it.
No, so funny enough, their first producer letter was in 2023. It was December of 2023. I'm just like, wow. It's been a long time since they even thought about putting one of these out.
Okay.
And did they say anything relevant? They're just talking about EX5 and BT15 in English. That's literally all they really talked about. And they felt really bad about banning cards. So that was the big thing. Yeah. They just talked about BT15 and EX5. Okay. Just a big nothing burger, but I'll bring back the fact that they felt bad about banning cards in this letter. So yeah, we got a new producer letter after 2 years. Do you want to? They broke it down into segments. Do you want to just tackle it segment by segment?
Um, we could. I mean, I was also just thinking about tackling it as a whole in general as well.
Okay. I'm totally good with that because Cardfest they said was great. I thought it was fine. Probably their best one.
Yeah, for sure. Like easily hands down the best.
As far as the Japanese finals, they congratulated the winner. I found it still kind of ironic that like Japan had 8 participants and everywhere else had 2. So that was kind of funny. Japan did end up winning it. Misplays aside, it was interesting to see high. I was gonna say high level gameplay. It's just normal gameplay at this point. It's just interesting to see, like, what ended up doing well. Yeah, they called it like the first unified tournament, which, yeah, as a BT20, we technically were unified. BT21 is the first set that's releasing simultaneously, but we're technically in the same format as Japan. Bans and restrictions. This is the part that I wanted to iterate on. So they bring up the fact that there's a new ban restriction list that took into place as of March 28th. You could visit their website to see their explanation. But the big thing that I wanted to take away from that section was the fact that they felt bad banning and restricting cards. Like, just from the language that they used, they seem to have this idea that banning and restricting cards is a bad thing. So maybe that goes into the mindset on why they don't do it. But at the same time, this is a competitive card game. Like, whether they like it or not, we have turned it into a competitive card game. And they need to do a better job at balancing their game. Obviously, they haven't done a very poor job at actually making reasonable card effects at this point. So, because they've given up on trying to control their power creep, I don't think they should feel bad about banning and restricting cards when literally every single set players ask for it. I don't know. What was your takeaway from that? That was my takeaway from it.
I mean, it's interesting the fact that they feel bad about it because as they said, it feels like a betrayal against the players and everything. But this might be just my mentality from all other card games. It's like whenever it comes to like bans and restrictions, I've never felt it's more of like like obviously I felt there was like kind of a betrayal with the like Konami after they made like 50,000 reprints of a card and then they finally hit it after I finally just get my hands on it. But I don't know, like with Digimon, it's like because like I'll take the Matashita one, like from BT. What was it, BT 2 or 4, something like that. But
BT2.
yeah, it's like they had to ban the card because regardless if it's you put it to 1, the moment 1 is in the trash, that's all you need to do, like to do its shenanigans. So like it to me, it would have been a betrayal if they hit it to 1 because it never solves the problem.
Well, so
And
the thing is, they also, like, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, the game is in such a high power state that we actually need to start banning cards. Like, banning, not limiting to 1, just banning. Get rid of it from the entirety of the game. And they really don't like doing that when we actually desperately need more. What we have is fine. We're getting by just okay, but I think the game could be better if they were a little bit more proactive, but they don't want to be more proactive because they feel like it's a bad thing. It betrays our trust, fixing their game that they screwed up. I don't know. I'm probably just super cynical on that because, like, I've worked as a developer and I've been in the position where we had to ban stuff, and I've seen players basically give sighs of relief and thank us for the cards that we banned, because yes, we made mistakes, but it's owning up to those mistakes. That's the big part. Proper communication also is very important when it comes to this, because if we give a half-ass reason, it's going to cause more distrust and disdain between us, the developers, and you, the players. So, like, this statement to me feels very half-assed. It's half-assed, half-baked, half whatever you want to call it, and it explains a lot on why we don't see bans and restrictions more. Is because they don't want to, and the game needs it. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Just had a big ban and restriction list. It was actually a really big one for them. And not many people were actually complaining. I mean, you had some people, I don't know the state of Yu-Gi-Oh!, so I can't give my commentary on that, but like, from a couple of people's reactions that I saw, it wasn't a negative thing that Konami had to hit cards. It's a positive thing. I don't understand why Bandai thinks fixing and balancing their game is a negative. That's what this statement came off as. If anyone's actually curious on the words, it says, "We'd like to express our sincerest apologies that it became necessary to add so many cards to the ban and restriction list. We feel banning and restriction cards betrays the trust of everyone playing the game, collecting the cards, and who work with us to provide and distribute the cards. After considering the issues carefully with those involved for a while, and ask ourselves what makes the Digimon card game enjoyed by everyone, and who are those interested in starting to play the game with the world unification before making this decision. Thank you for your kind understanding." It's like, I get it. I get what they're trying to go for, but at the same time, they don't like it. This statement just screams, we don't like doing it. So that's why we don't do it very often. Like, reading in between the lines. I don't know. This statement out of the whole thing just really pissed me off. But
yeah, it's like, to me, it's like very interesting, because even though this is probably like one of the biggest like ban restrictions and hair bans and everything that they've done, there's even some people that still say this wasn't enough. Because
no,
we were
it
kind of
wasn't.
talking, so it was like really weird that, you know, like our mindset's completely different with the ban and restriction list versus how they might have a ban or understanding, or not even understanding, a mentality for bans and restriction lists.
Yeah, they're under a completely different paradigm than us, the players. And I feel like that disconnect is a big issue. And if anything, as we've kind of already said in previous episodes, I honestly think that because the game is in such a high power state, we need more. Like, we need it basically every 3 months, every main BT set release, just like they do in Dragon Ball Super Masters. That's to the point of the game we're in, is not as high a power state as Masters. That game's like absolutely boned. Um but we're at that point where we need it more often, and this screamed we don't want to do it, and we want to do it as little as possible. And I think that's a big mistake. But you know what's not a big mistake? I'm just gonna skip all the way down to the fun stuff. Digimon Elysian. They mentioned that apparently the game has been in 2 years in the works. Doesn't necessarily mean actual programming and development. It just means it was envisioned about 2 years ago, is what their language set dates. So it probably took about a year to get this game greenlight. So they realistically have only been working on this game for about a year, in my perspective. Again, coming from a video game design background. Because, believe me, based on some of their previous announcements on how long their games take, and the process on getting something greenlit, it's a while. It's not a, like, hey, I have an idea, let's do it. It's, hey, I have this idea, let me prove to you why it's good, and we will workshop basically a design document explaining how everything is going to be functioning, how to make the game. Essentially, it's like the blueprints on how to make the game. So like that was probably their first year of development, and then the second year was actually starting to make the game. So they're probably realistically about 2 years in, um like 1 year actually into actual development.
I mean, to me, honestly, the fact that it's been in development probably for give or take now a year, at least, that gives me some hope that they have been working on this a while. So we should definitely be seeing like some good. I want to say good things. It shouldn't take excessively long for this game to be hopefully coming out, if that makes sense.
No, it does. Like, I think I kind of stand by what we said when it was announced, where realistically, the earliest we'll see it is next year. And then a more realistic time frame, depending on how things are being done on the production side, how many people they have working on it, where like the skill level of the people working on it. There's a lot of factors that go into how fast something could come out, but I'm still expecting at least 2 years, um, in order to see this game. It would be really cool if we see it next year, but that's just my rough estimation. Is a better time frame is 2 years. A good time frame, like a fast time frame, would be next.
Yeah, I would love to see it next year because I mean, the sooner we get this game, the better, I guess, so to say.
I'm almost sadly enough going to be putting my future into this game. Like, the future of my content probably is very heavily dependent on this game.
Yeah, to me, it's like when you're trying to encourage a bunch of new players to come join and play the game and everything, and BT21 being like one of the best sets to probably even do that. Like to me, the sooner this game comes out to where more people are aware, like there's more. I'm trying to think how I want to say this. It's not like there's nothing wrong with DCGO. There's nothing wrong with like Project Dre Seal or anything like that, but they're not accessible on your phone, so to say. So the fact that this is something that could be on the phone, you can see it on the Apple Store, you can see it on the Google Play Store and everything. I mean, this to me just feels like it would be so much better for the Digimon card game community.
No, it's overall a net win because, like, look at Pokemon Pocket as an example. It's mobile only, and it, yes, it has very predatory practices. I'm not expecting this new Digimon mobile game to not be predatory in any way, shape, or form. I'm 100% expecting it will be, but still, regardless, um, it did a lot to invigorate people into the Pokemon TCG ecosystem. Whether it is just buying more packs digitally, or, hey, I kind of like the Pokemon card game because this was a light, easy, understand version. Let me see what the actual TCG is like. Whatever it may be, it's getting people into the ecosystem. Although, like, funny note aside, Doug Bowser, the president of Nintendo, totally pulled a Don Matrick, and he was just like, "Yeah, so we understand that the Switch 2 is expensive. It's a good thing there's a Switch 1 if you don't want to buy it." And I'm just like, that was everyone trashed and dogged on like Don Matrick when he said that about the Xbox One. It's like, "Oh yeah, you could just buy the 360. It doesn't matter." It's just like, "No, no, it matters." Um
Yeah, especially if you're going to be putting all your future games onto that.
yeah, it's like those tone deaf levels of statements is absolutely hilarious to me. But getting back on track, like, it's just the whole idea on why those bigwigs say that type of a statement is because they don't care what part of the ecosystem you're in as long as you're in it. And I think Bandai expanding the Digimon ecosystem is overall a net positive. And I'm uber excited to see where this mobile app goes and how long it's going to take. But yeah, so what other things did they have on here that actually mattered? They
Um,
mentioned new product information.
let's see. There's the wrap up. Uh, talking about the fifth anniversary global unification. However, the current DCG is now at the rookie stage, and we are just stepping into the battle area. hope to be moving forward to keep Digivolving the game into Champion, Ultimate, Mega, Beyond.
Oh, is that in the wrap-up statement?
Yeah, that's in the
Oh,
wrap-up. It's like
yeah,
the
yeah,
second
yeah.
paragraph.
So, before we get into the wrap-up, they just mentioned, hey, April 18th is the new starter decks, and then we have the new set coming out. Atmon is going to be in there. It's going to feature all of the protagonists, including Atmon. So that's just going to be a pretty interesting thing. They also mentioned Digicon 2025. And Booster Volume 3 releasing in October. Hacker Slumber, basically just a giant advertisement. It's like, hey, we got stuff coming. But one of the interesting things in the wrap up is they mentioned that we're not having rotation. That was a big one.
That is a big sigh of relief, because I don't think when the One Piece one announced that, I think people got more on, I wouldn't say on the edge, but like we're kind of wondering if Digimon was going to actually do that now too.
Right, because like I was working on a little One Piece deck on the side, and I have a singular One Piece deck, and because of that announcement, I basically can throw my deck in the trash because it was a set one leader was the deck that I had made, and the deck I was working on was a set two leader. So I'm just like, cool. Everything I just was planning on doing, I wasn't spending a whole lot of money, but what little I did spend on it, that basically just went up in smoke. And that makes me, like, as a player, incredibly furious because, like, oh, I thought I was safe having this type of thing, upgrade and update it every now and then. Nope. Completely destroyed. All chances of me even remotely trying to play that game. And I think a lot of the community is just also pretty upset because it does effectively kill off old leaders and make them unplayable. And like, I think it was overall a net negative.
Well, it also means that you now have to dedicate even more money now and more resources into the game, because like, yeah, you'll have a good deck for like a few years, but eventually you're going to have to figure out a whole new deck, so you're going to have to spend more money. It's not like, because like, I'll take Digimon, for example, just simple Digimon, with the Crosshard deck, you could say there was like support for it, so you only really had to invest in like little bits here and there and everything, so it wasn't as much money consuming, so to say.
Right. And like the big thing is, honestly, I view rotation as a very bad thing. Like, some people praise rotation to high heavens because Pokemon, literally two of the big three do it. Just Pokemon and Magic the Gathering. But what people fail to understand is Standard for Magic the Gathering is not their most popular format. Their most popular format is literally everything but Standard. So that goes to show in the Magic the Gathering scene that rotation is the least played format. People don't care about rotation. They don't want to engage with it, which was why Wizards of the Coast actually extended the rotation by a whole extra year. So now it previously took 2 years for your deck to rotate out. Now it takes 3. And then they even have a set that's eternally standard. So it's just like, yeah, just invest in the eternal standard stuff, and then you have a never rotating core of cards. And like, hello, ding ding ding. Nobody cares about rotation. Yeah, it defeats the purpose of rotation. And like the way Bandai games are designed, they're like mostly archetypical. I probably would say they're about 60% archetypical, 40% like generic good stuff. Even though the generic good stuff usually ends up overshadowing the archetypical stuff in every way, shape, and form. We've seen it in all of their games. But
well, you can even look at the current, Digimon TCG. It literally revolves around you having a bunch of the older cards, like Examon from this newest set. It kind of relied on you having a lot of the cards from EX3, something that's like 2 block difference and everything. So if they were trying to do block rotation, that would have just killed off Examon completely. Eventually, at some point.
It wouldn't have killed it off completely because, like, what Bandai likes to do is what I labeled as waterfall rotation. So it's like when they give another deck a wave of support, yes, the anticipation Bandai is under and the mindset is the old support just falls off and you should just forget about it. Which in reality, with a legacy styled game, that doesn't happen because half the time the earlier cards is where the broken stuff's coming from. So yeah, that's it's like a fallacy in a sense. Like people think it's actually good, but one, it doesn't stop power creep. Once it's already started, there is no stopping it. People can pretend it slows it down, but it realistically doesn't because by the time they implement rotation, so again using One Piece as an example, like by the time they implemented rotation, most of the cards that people were using weren't from the older stuff anyway. It was all the newer stuff. So rotation literally just doesn't do anything in that specific instance. And then when it comes to sales, they had to have made the last set just as powerful, if not more powerful than the previous one. So it doesn't matter if, let's just say, OP1, OP2, and OP3 fall off, because OP5 still had to beat OP4 in a sense. And if OP5 is where the new starting point is, then it's still just going to go up and up and up in terms of the power creep. And if they make an underpowered set, like if they were to try to use rotation to depower the game, it'll take at least a year to 2 years of like poor sales just to be able to fix the game and get it to be depowered. I guess that's the only leverage point, is they have the potential to depower their game through the means of rotation. But most companies, because of power creep, don't do that. So, but yeah, good to hear that we're not getting rotation. I think that would be a really big net negative if we implemented rotation.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, like you said, the good Examon is the EX3 Examon. We do have two other Examons that we could use. They're just not nearly as good as EX3.
Nobody, and we can't even like acknowledge BT13 because that X1 is just extremely terrible.
Well, I mean, it's a rare versus a secret rare versus a super rare that's also an ace. Like there's different
True.
factors
Yeah.
going into how powerful they felt like they wanted to make it. But still, like it just goes to show that sometimes the older cards are still usable, and it's not like Digimon is that expensive when it comes to certain things. So like the majority of the game I still think is on the cheaper side. Yes, specific aspects of the game have made it more expensive as time has gone on, but again, it's not overwhelmingly expensive like Yu-Gi-Oh or something. Oh yeah, the fact that, like you said, in their wrap up, they were just like they're at the rookie stage and now they're about to jump to the champion, ultimate, mega, and beyond. That scares me because that to me was like, yeah, we're not gonna stop with the power creep, and I'm just like, I think they could have used some better wording there. I get what they're going for. It's a Digimon analogy rather than the actual power of the game, but it kind of seemed like it read as though they were talking about the power of the game.
Yeah, my honest reaction to reading that was kind of the Jennifer Lawrence, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, what do you mean the game is only in a rookie stage? We're killing each other with OTKs and uninteractable combos by turn 2. Like
It's like what was BT 13 and below? Like the baby and the baby 2 stages? Like what do you mean?
yeah, no, their wording, I think their wording on this whole article could have just been done way better. Um
Yeah. Like I'm not going to take it to heart that they mean rookie stage. It's just the way I'm going to actually think what they tried to say was we do want to continue improving the game, but actually said they kind of wanted to just make it a Digimon Digivolving kind of tie-in. So
yeah, they just chose a
I think
poor
that's what they
analogy.
actually meant.
Yeah, they just chose a poor analogy because like I do think that Bandai's actually like it felt like just from their little bits of actions that they have done, they are trying to make the game better. Because take the Bandai Premium product that sold out 3 times within the first 48 hours. Um, sure, it sold out that fast, but and it took them 2 weeks to be able to respond to that and say, hey, we're finally going to open it up for a fourth time. Sure, it's going to come later than the first 3 waves, but at least they opened it up again. I mean, it's a no-brainer. The thing sold out 3 times within 48 hours. Yes, of course you should open it up again because you're just printing money at this point.
It's free money. Like you're making so much money from it.
Right, but they didn't
It's like,
have to is the thing, like cuz it already sold out 3 times.
yeah,
But the fact that they open it up again, like at least now players can get it if they want it. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it's most likely worth it in the long run, even though it's literally going to be coming out almost a year. I think like instead of December, the latest wave is like January. So it's just like, oh yeah, you have 10 months. You'll get this thing in 10 months. And I'm just like, oh god. But hey, at least we could get it.
yeah. At least like you have a guaranteed. Like you at least got like because what is it like? We don't know if they'll ever reprint Mirage Galamon, the Hexablau, or even the Cherubi Ace. We don't know if they'll reprint those ever again outside of this. So it's kind of a nice little get this now, and if you do need them for later on support, you have access to them, so to say.
Yeah. So, like it'll be interesting as how to see how it actually plays out, but we won't know until like 8 to 10 months from now. So, check back in then. But yeah, so that was the big developer note. I know we talked a lot about that, so we'll go over the meta stuff really quickly. So there was one meta report that we missed. I do apologize for missing it, but we didn't have the data. And that was a Latin American event. So this took place on March 29th. So, yes, the new bans and restrictions were in place for this. It was an offline event with 256 players. We only have the top 8, which is fine. Which top 8 breakdown was 2 Leviamons, 1 Magnamon, 1 Virus Imperial, 1 Ancient Garurumon, 1 Gallantmon, 1 Royal Knights, and 1 Sakuyamon. Literally nothing out of the ordinary. It is exactly as what one would expect. As far as what won this event, it was Leviamon followed by Magnamon. I don't think anything spicy was in these lists. Not really.
Yeah, I'm taking
Magnamon
a,
was Magnamon. They were using Shu.
I
Leviamon
will
literally
say
hasn't
the
changed.
I will say the Leviamon that won first place was actually using Deltamon from BT19. Just kind of interesting to me.
So they use it in combination with Anubismon to be able to snipe floodgates because otherwise, without Deltamon, you have zero way to snipe
Ah,
floodgates, and then you just kind of lose the game because of them.
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And you have Dragomon and Anubismon that could be able to revive it. So, yeah, but literally nothing
Yeah,
new
because like
from there. Ancient
yeah, because Gallant's
Gurumon's
still
using red
Gallant.
base. Yeah, Gallant's Gallant. Ancient Gurumon's using red base because red base has some of the best floodgates. And again, floodgates are insanely important right now. If you're probably playing a deck that's has the ability to run the floodgate, even if it seems like it's not that lucrative to do so. Trust me, you have to do it. Otherwise, you will lose the game. Virus Imperial is Virus Imperial. Nothing crazy there. Um,
Yeah, and then Sakuya, that's just Sakuya.
yeah, it's just the new age Sakuya. But like again, if we want to take Sakuyamon as like an example, they're running 4 copies of BT19 Rika, 1 EX2 Rika. So like, if you just pretended like the EX2 Rika didn't exist, like the majority of the deck outside of EX2 Renamon and EX2 Rika, and Digivolution Plugin S is for the most part new cards. I guess technically Viximon and Yellow Memory Boost are the only other old cards. But yeah, so just pointing it out, rotation really wouldn't impact us as much as we would think. It just limits what we're able to play, which is the feels bad part. So, yeah. But yeah, that's the Latin American regionals. So cool on that. So what do we got next?
Uh, our tier lists.
Yeah. I'll just pull up like a notepad.
Yeah.
Uh
So the reason we're kind of doing a tier list now is because we're give or take about 2 weeks within 2 weeks of BT21, and since this is the first unified set, there is no data to go off of when it comes to all the brand new BT21 cards. We don't know how the adventure deck's gonna work. We don't know how the uh, link or uh, yeah, I guess link deck's gonna work. We don't know anything from these newer cards. So by doing a tier list now of all the based off the current formats and how we personally feel, this is practically going to kind of determine like, hey, this is what you, the new cards of BT21, this is what you have to face against. Can you kind of compete with this? Is kind of the goal here.
yes. So I guess with that we should probably define what tier 1 is. Um so do how do we want to start this? Because there's a couple of different ways. So we
So
could start things off by defining what each of the tiers actually means, because I think that's a big distinction point a lot of people don't make. It's like, "Oh yeah, this is tier 1. This is obviously the strongest stuff." But like, what does that actually mean though? And most people
so
don't
I
go into that. Like, so for me, tier 1 is literally anything that is meta playable. Like it is proven to be good. It has topped numerous times. Like it that like tier 1 is the meta. Tier 2 I usually define as like more it's kind of
Rogue.
playable, but you don't see it a whole lot. That's more of the rogue slot. And then tier 3 is basically just like this is probably the
Here
best of
for
the
a good time.
garbage. Yeah, like this is the best of the garbage. And most of the
Yeah.
time, the
So
best of the garbage is just the newest stuff that
yeah, I think
isn't
we have the
good.
same. I think we have the same exact mentality for that because to me, tier one is like this is what you can probably get to top 16 with, if not win like regionals or something like that. Is how I see it.
Yeah, I'll just label it as super meta. Tier 2 is probably the rogue. Uh,
I
rogue
don't know if
Boule.
rogue's even like the. I don't know if rogue's even the correct thing. It's like I'm trying to think like because when I think of rogue, it's like more of like a. Well, I shouldn't say rogue. Like tier two, it's I wouldn't say rogue's the exact word. It's to me, it's like they're contenders. Like the littlest change could push them up to be that better. I think.
Well, that's
I
kind
don't
of
know if
like
that.
rogue. What rogue is usually rogue is like the anti-meta, and the stuff that's like just barely outside of the scope of the what's actually meta.
Okay, so yeah, so long as they're that's then yeah. Sorry, I don't know why. I just like when I hear rogue, I just think of like I don't know. My weird mentality is like thinking that it's not good for some reason.
Because
Don't
it's
know.
not.
That just me. That just
So
might be me.
So no, part of it is based on these definitions. Yes, rogue is basically not playable. Like anything that's tier 2 and tier 3 by these definitions, yes, they are borderline unplayable. And like that's usually the more competitive mentality that I'm currently in, which might be impacting my overall enjoyment of the game. Most likely is. Um but yeah, like usually rogue is fringe playable, like it's anti-meta or like just barely off meta. It can still perform, but not as good and consistent as what's actually in the meta. But because of what's in the meta and the power gap between tier 1 and tier 2 that we currently are in, yeah, rogue is borderline almost unplayable, which is very sad. But enough dwelling on that. Let's actually get into what's tier 1. So I'm just gonna start copying and pasting things, and I'll explain them later. Um, so starting off with the current events, or based on the current events of data, we have. Oh, I don't care about your spell check in Notepad. So these are not going to be ordered because I weigh a lot of these decks equally because like we do actually have a decent plethora of tier 1 decks. So as far as what's contributing to tier 1, I think Leviamon is tier 1, Magnamon's tier 1, Imperial Dramon and Imperial Virus are both tier 1. I should probably I I probably
I would.
would put Ancient Guru as like a gatekeeper esque deck. I probably wouldn't label it as tier 1. Like it's probably like at the very top of tier 2, if not like 1.5 if we had a 1.5. I guess I'll just put a
Yeah, no.
1.5. Uh, tier 1.5.
If we're gonna do a tier 1.5, I kind of want to put Magna X like in that 1.5. Just me personally speaking, a personal opinion on my part of that, because there is times where it has gotten a couple of tops, but it's very, and I mean very minuscule when it does. Like it's only a one of out of top 16 or top 8 or anything like that. Like it's still strong, but it's not constantly topping, if that makes sense.
So part of that is representation. So that's the big distinction on like yes, meta is an acronym for most efficient tactic available. Um but like representation on how many players are playing that deck contributes to how often you're more likely to see it um in the top slots. So the fact that its representation has gone down but it's still consistently in top 16s in almost every single top 16 is a testament to its strength. So yeah, it was at least out of the three uh yeah, out of the three events post ban list that we had that were large, Magnamon appeared in two of them. So I still think Magnamon is like strong because by that logic I probably would put Imperial Dramon in 1.5 as well because like oh yeah, Imperial Dramon has its consistency issues, but that doesn't mean it's not one of the dumbest decks ever printed.
I honestly would be okay with putting Imperial Dramon as 1.5 as well. Like it's still good. It's just again like not a lot of representation compared to like say Leviamon or even the fact that Leviamon has so many high toppings or so many wins compared to Imperial.
I mean, I probably so like in my definition, I'll put for like in my definition of tier 1.5, I'll just put like meta and then in parentheses basically tier 1. Low tier 1. There we go.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
All right. So as far as low tier 1, we have Ancient Garurumon cuz no offense, I played the deck. The only thing it has going for it is the floodgates. That's pretty much it. Is floodgates became more important, so it's easier to slow down the opponent with the floodgates that you do have, and because you're using a red base, you have all of the good floodgates. Um, then in so far in tier 1.5, we also have Imperial Dramon. This is the blue green one. Because Virus, I would probably say is tier 1. I think Virus is a little bit more consistent. They still have similar issues, but I think just Virus might be a little bit better at this point, just from a representation standpoint. And then Magnamon X is also in tier 1.5.
Yeah. Um I don't. What decks do you currently have in tier one again? Just out of curiosity.
Tier 1 right now, I have Leviamon, Imperialdramon, Virus, Gallantmon, Royal Knights, and Sakuya.
Yeah, yeah, I'm fine with that.
I probably would. I know it hasn't really put up a whole lot of results, and it's not like super tested. But I probably would put Fen in tier 1.5.
I almost feel comfortable being more of the tier two. Like it's still like it's good, but again, it's kind of like the whole representation because there's like because I'm trying to think here because there's the talk games. I think that one. I'm not sure if that one actually was using. Hold on, let me take a look to make sure. Where is it?
Tac
Okay.
Tac had
Okay, yeah,
one Fen in there.
yeah, they were using the BT14 one, even though for whatever reason they have the Takamikatsuchi being shown as representation, which is weird. Was there any others?
Well, the Tac one was the BT14 iteration because that's post ban and restriction list.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
trying to.
Galaxy. Galaxies should be in tier 1.
Is it tier one though? Because, like, yes, it won Worlds, but I've
Yeah,
only
it's tier 1.
like, am I trying to see here? Like,
So in the North
no, no,
American
it's okay.
event,
It's
yeah,
got a
in the
couple other
North American
representations,
event, it had 2 out of the 16 tops, and then in TAC, it also had 1.
and we also can't ignore the fact that it did win Worlds, and we do also have to consider that any blue or red level six boss monsters that are just generically good are it kind of makes Galaxy just really good as well.
Yeah. I probably would say if Fen is in Rogue, like I probably would put 3 Great Angels in Rogue. I think
I
it's
would
a good
also so
deck.
too.
I think it's a good deck, but I think it's low representation. Just and like all of the yellow players basically moved on to Sakuyamon because she's a little bit more proactive. I'll say.
I I would also say probably also just easier to access as well because like the three Gary Angels deck, you probably need the Cherubier. That's probably like if you don't got the money to play Cherubier, like why like what if you could pick a deck, why would you choose three Great Angels versus like a different deck that you could spend to buy your three Great Angels support?
I mean, Sukuyamon's not super user friendly either because you need Pause plugin, which is a promo. You need Scrambles, which again is another promo. You need Ruin modes, which are like 40, 50, 60 a piece. And then yeah, after that, then the rest of the deck is fairly accessible. So you have
Yeah,
like
and
your money tied up. Oh, and trainings. So you have your money tied up in one, two, three, 4 cards.
and like three of those cards aren't necessarily crazy expensive because I'm pretty sure that the trainings and the scrambles, those are like probably like $3 to $5 a piece and everything,
That sounds
give
about
or
right.
take. And as far
Um,
as like the promo plugin and everything, like that was a store tournament promo. Like, wait, was it a store tournament promo?
Pause plugin. I don't think it was.
Yeah,
I know the Sakuyamon deck gave it away as a whatchamacallit, as part of the demo decks. And that was like the big saving grace reprint because I think that was one of the like BT14 box topper era type cards where it was just very very inaccessible, but like at the time nobody really played with it, so nobody cared because Sakuyamon was bad back then.
yeah.
Um, I'm looking up how much Pause plugin is. Third anniversary update pack. So yes, that was a BT14 box topper. Currently, it is a $16 card.
Oh Jesus. I mean, that's
It went up from $5 to currently about 15, $16. The third anniversary update pack.
I feel
That
like that
was
has the Shadramon.
Yeah, that was the BT-14 because that had Shadramon, Nightmon, Rust Tyrannomon, um, Destromon, Saberdramon. So yeah, that was a very hot box topper pack.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's like if I was to think and consider like trying to get three Great Angels if I don't have the cards already versus like Sakuyamon, which is like I could get a good and I mean very very decent good majority of the cards very cheaply and everything. To me, it's like I would think that Dominimon is kind of just rogue because of the price gauge of it. Like it's not that it's a bad deck; it's just price wise, I would think like the Sakuya is like more affordable, like more accessible for players versus the three Great Angels. It's like kind of what's blocking it in such a very niche category.
I mean, when it comes to competitive play, you throw the accessibility factor out the window. Yes, it is contributing to how much a deck can be represented, but you always have to assume at high competitive levels that players will do whatever they need to in order to secure their cards to be able to have the most functioning deck they can to have the best shot of winning. So these players, honestly, with all of their hearts, think that whatever they were playing was the best deck for the current situation. Um, but yeah, so essentially, as far as tier one goes, I think like I don't really know what else to put in tier one. Um, we have Levia, we have Virus, Imperial, Gallant, Royal Knight, Sakuya, Galaxy. Those just are the most played and most topping decks in the current environment. Um, then just outside of that, it is literally Imperial Jamon, Magnamon, and Ancient Guru. And then just outside of that, we have Fenrir and Three Great Angels. So that's every deck that has done something in this current format. So how many decks is that? One, two, three, four, five, six. So there's about six actually meta playable decks. Three decently playable meta decks, and then two rogue decks as of right now. So I think this is a good starting point to go off of for where the game currently is.
Yeah, because I know I'm looking at like the Eggman website and I'm like seeing a bunch of these other ones and it's like they're literally just one of like Lord Nine on X. It's like I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, Lord Knight's using the same package as Levia, and at that point it's just why are you playing Lord Nymon instead of Levia at that point, so to
Yes,
say.
I think there's a lot of like, hey, this is basically the same thing as this, so why are you even wasting your time type situations where it's just like, take Mirage as an example. As a diehard Mirage player, like, why am I at this point wasting my time playing any blue deck, period, when I could just play Galaxy Engine? Like, and that's the saddest part to me is why should I bother playing any other deck in the entire color when this one deck single-handedly can incorporate any single card it wants to pretend like it's that other deck. And it does that for two colors, for red and for blue. It's more favorable towards blue, granted, but people are definitely thinking about splashing red cards and have splashed red cards.
Yeah, and I would like to like after the ban restriction list, like Purple Hybrid is just kind of gone at this point. I mean,
People are still testing with it, and I think like right now, because usually when it comes to going into newer formats, you're you're gonna have a higher chance being successful with known decks that you're more seasoned with than unknown decks that you're less seasoned with, or you weren't able to get all of the cards and now you need to make substitutions even if you've been practicing that specific deck for like a month or so, let's just say. So
yeah,
it's just usually easier and in more players' benefits to pick what's more comfortable and what's easier. Um, so it's just like, yes, people could have worked around purple hybrids, but all of the people who were playing purple for purple hybrids probably transitioned over to Leviamon and Virus Imperial, because I don't have to put any extra work into trying to figure out how to make the deck better again, when I could just play a good deck and it's just good. And I think that lack of innovation usually is what holds metas back, and usually that innovation is where those like surprise players come in. So anyone who's watched my channel knows that I'm a big Lychee King fan. That man single-handedly makes black a playable color because he is one of the few people who actually is putting the time and effort into innovating these off decks, and then he does well with them, not only because A, the players don't know how to play against it half the time because they don't know what the deck is doing, and B, he's actually putting in the level of work needed to figure out new technology. So, yeah. I need to get Lychee back on the podcast. Such a good player. But yeah, so
Yeah, for sure.
So,
He's every black player's inspiration, like especially for me. So,
yeah. So as far as just fleshing out some tier 3 decks, we could put Necromon in tier 3. I think it's like good, but it has issues.
I think the Daruga deck probably is going to easily be a tier 3 deck.
Yeah, it's like at least worth mentioning.
Like, it doesn't get as often of representation, but it does pop up every once in a while. Especially from 2.0 and 2.5, we've at least seen one or two representations. Or I think it was actually two in this. Well, that was Eggman's Win a Box event, but
yeah, I mean, there's smaller events. I'm just trying to think like in the broader scope, like what actually is a viable deck. I think like in Rogue, this is probably going to be a hot one, but I still think like Bloomlord, like Plant Engine, is like very good. Not Blood, Bloom.
Bloodlord, jeez.
Yeah, Bloodlord. So I think like Bloomlord is probably also deserving of that tier 2. It's just not enough people play with him, and half of his deck goes to new generic cards.
I mean, it did get a regional top, so.
And I still think it could top. It's just not going to be very frequent.
Yeah, it was like a 200 player regional.
But yeah, so this is probably a good starting point as far as like what's actually being played and what's anywhere near semblance of good.
Now, just out of curiosity, this isn't me trying to be biased, but how do we feel about the Chronicles deck? Just out of curiosity.
I would put it in tier 3, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking it would be a tier 3 deck. Like, it hasn't gotten a big regionals, so to say, but it is a deck to look out for, especially since it is getting, like, the most minuscule support in, like, a promo egg in, like, these store tournament packs. Like, I don't know if that single egg is going to be what causes the deck to, like, hit the gas, so to say, to get more representation, but to me, it definitely is a deck to watch out for, I think.
I get it. I'm just gonna put in tier 3 Zephica, just because, like, I think Zephica kind of is just like the generic liberator. Actually, hold on. There's some things that, before I even want to put that, in Rogue, I would probably put Dinomon in here, because I think Dinomon is still a very slept-on card. I think his matchups got worse, but I think he's still a very strong Digimon. And again, it's the same argument as like, okay, if I'm playing Dinomon, why don't I just throw him in Galaxy and call it a day? And yes, that is the sentiment and the unfortunate reality.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with the being like Tyranno being like a rogue deck, because it did get quite a few representations in 2.0, and I mean obviously it's kind of died off since 2.0, but it probably, like, it still has fortitude. It still has access to Mirage Gallimon. That's, like, to me, it's like that is still worth considering in having in your deck.
Yeah, and then for right now, for before we get into new decks, because we kind of already covered that like last week, but to kind of like guesstimate them, I probably would put the Mirage engine as a tier 2 as well, because like yes, we did lose the good Mirage, but the deck still functions with the old Mirages just fine at being another OTK deck. You have to lean heavier into the OTK because the others don't control very well. But that's the dynamic of the deck. And even if you were to just strip the top end and just play generic good blue Digimon, it's still a very powerful deck because it has easy and fast ways to get up into its level 6s. And that's like one of the benchmarks is how easy and fast and efficient you can get up into your level 6.
For sure. Because I mean, the Mirage engine is still, like you said, extremely good to have. It's
Yeah.
like the Bloomlord engine, so to say, but blue.
Yeah, so like if we're gonna be putting Bloomlord on here, we have to put Mirage on here also. Like that's kind of my logic behind it. It's like we have some decent other good generic engines. It's just unfortunately the tier 1 is basically outshining almost the entirety rest of the game outside of tier 1.5. Um so I guess let's go into I need to find a database. Digimoncart.dev, you'll do. All right, so now we're going into the new stuff, which we kind of already like talked a little bit about. We're just gonna be putting it on here. So like, if this is basically like the benchmarks, realistically, what's up here, like we have to figure out what's actually gonna be anywhere remotely worth talking about.
Well, I think one of the easiest new decks that we could easily probably cover and talk about is probably the Galaxy deck, or is it Galactic?
Galacti.
Yeah,
It's
like
Galactic. It's Galactic Mon. Everyone just
okay,
calls it
Galactic.
Galacti. Yeah, I think like Galacti. Honestly, depending on how the meta shapes up, I think he could easily be like at worst a tier 1.5 deck.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, because it does have the protection. It does have the potential for OT Kane and everything. I think it's just a matter of how do I want to say this?
How often everything comes together in my perspective. Because I'm
Yeah,
using Leechy's
well,
old build as like the benchmark starting place, where you're just hard playing a level 5, outing the opponent's tamer, and just that play alone is already going to be very good into a lot of these top decks. So it's just like,
yeah,
okay, Lord Nightmon or Leviamon, sure, it's going to be useless. Imperial Dramon, it probably is going to end up being a bit useless. But like Gallantmon needs its tamers. Sakuyamon kind of needs its tamers. Galaxy definitely needs its tamer. Royal Knight, it doesn't hurt having cool boys. It really doesn't. So like that's just a couple of good decks. And if hybrids start popping up again, then that makes Galactic look better.
yeah. I think the only problem that I would consider is the fact that it doesn't really have. To me, like I'm kind of trying to theory craft too. I'm looking at the old deck that Leechy topped with and everything. I don't think it's a deck that can really run floodgates, so to say. Like you might be able to
No, you
run
can't.
the yeah, it's like that. I feel like it's kind of the downside of it. So it's like you have to let your opponent do what they want to do.
Yeah, but
But
you're the type of deck that just doesn't care. It's just like I
yeah,
have good enough reactive plays to where it shouldn't matter, and if I get into Galactic, you honestly shouldn't even be able to touch the card realistically. Is kind of the
yeah,
whole mentality behind it.
yeah. So that's my only concern. Is just like the lack of floodgates. Is kind of like the going to be the interesting side of it for me, at least.
I think it's like a lot of these top decks aren't running floodgates and like they're basically all just racing each other, which I think is the dumbest and most uninteractive thing. Um like Leviamon's one of the only card like actually, Leviamon is the only deck out of the top like tier 1 decks that is running any semblance of a floodgate. I know Galaxy decks have been messing around with like floodgates also, like as a 2 of splash. So like they're attempting to start trying to use floodgates, but yeah, the rest of these don't even use floodgates at all, which is funny. So I think like you could still
Well,
get away with out floodgates. It's just your strategy has to either be A, uninteractive, or B, kill the opponent before they can go off, which is again a form of uninteractability.
well, here's an interesting thing I gotta ask. Because are you thinking of floodgates as just the level threes, or are you considering like
Level
the Virus
sixes.
Imperial?
Well, so okay, I guess mostly level threes are just easier to get into, but like yes, I do kind of start to get where you're going with this because like yes, we have level 6 floodgates that are way harder to get rid of than level 3 floodgates.
And
Because
then you
like
also have like Ruin mode as well that Sakuya deck does use and everything.
yeah, so it's just like you have Virus Imperial, which ends off on a level 6 floodgate that basically says they can't play the game. You have Sakuyamon that ends in a level 7 floodgate that says the opponent can't play the game. You have Royal Knights, which they don't care because they'll just hard play something and out your body or stop you from being able to play the game, incidentally. So, like,
And then you have the uh Dusk.
Galamon just has
I'm
the
gonna call it as a.
protection.
I was gonna say I'm just gonna call it the Dusk and Dawn deck because I always kind of just get it confused. But they kind of run like the Hexablow. They kind of run
Yeah, they
like
run level 7 floodgates to stop the opponent from doing anything because they could get it to it for borderline next to nothing.
yeah.
So, like, yes, okay. The caveat is if you're not running a level 3 floodgate to stop the opponent to get up into their level 6 as quickly as they can, you're going to be running a level 6 or 7 floodgate to stop the opponent from being able to play the game. And then beat them up on your level 6 or 7. So, that's the caveat. Um, as far as so I think Galacti trying to get back on track. I think the new iteration of Galacti. Can I control I? Oh no, I cannot. All right. I guess I'll just star the new ones. There we go. So that way we could at least visually see what's new and what's old or coming updated. Tier 1.5, I think that Red Hybrids has the potential to be incredibly strong.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. I mean, because it's definitely got like I'm trying to think how I want to say this. Like, yeah, I lost the promo of Goonie and everything, but there's so much support and good support in general for red hybrids of other things. It's like it's not really out of the picture, kind of.
Yeah, the new Takuya is really good. And then they honestly got one of the best cards that they've ever had, which is Spirit Evolution. That card is a nutty. Then you like they have a whole new evolution line, but like honestly, those are probably the two most standout cards. The new Emperor kind of sucks. The new Goonies mid at best. The new Flamon's fine. Um, the new Flamon's actually pretty good. I lied. Um, the new Burning is good. Because he gives himself piercing, so that way you don't have to like have piercing with other things or get piercing in other ways. So like I think it has all of the parts and pieces to be competitive. It's just putting it all together and making it cohesive. Cuz I think a lot of people still are most likely going to be on the ancient hype train, just not 110% dedicated to the warp play.
Yeah.
Um as far as a rogue deck, I think like so kind of extending this, I think when people figure out what Purple Hybrids is doing, I think that's a tier 1.5 deck as well. Actually, I'll put Purple Hybrids a little bit lower because I think people are just going to be less experimental on it.
Yeah, I feel like it would definitely be a tier 2 kind of thing.
Because Purple
Like
Hybrids,
you could see it.
yeah, Purple Hybrids gets one card from Red Hybrid, which is the only reason why I'm even mentioning Purple Hybrid. I mean, I'm not writing it off as a dead deck, but Spirit Evolution is basically a colorless card. Just putting it out there because its ability states that when you have a tamer with an inheritable effect on your field, you can ignore the color requirements. So it's just a very good card that's not color
Yeah,
locked.
and it's something that even technically speaking, the Ancient Garurumon deck could even use theoretically too.
Yes. So like that's why I also think like Ancient Guru is going to stay in tier 1.5 because it has another good card that it wants to use.
Yeah, for sure.
Um Wing Guardians is probably unplayable. I'm not even going to waste my time with that. I've been testing apps. Apps feels like a very good tier 2 deck. Like it's just shy from being good.
Like it's just like barely missing that one thing kind of situation.
It has consistency issues. So like it has okay tempo. It's a little bit more fair than some of the other top decks that basically get to do everything for nothing. So it does everything for a little bit cheaper than normal, which is fine. But it just has some slight consistency issues where it's like you're gonna run into some awkward plays quite often.
Yeah. I also kind of want to mention that the Medusa deck, although it's like the boss monster seems pretty powerful, I feel like the Medusa's engine is not good right now. It's missing that, like, like the main lineup for Medusamon. Those cards are good. It's just like the other little half of it, like the Agumon, the Cyclomon, the Cyberdramon actually is good, but the other half of the deck that we get introduced in this, it just kind of feels a little kind of thing.
No,
So
so
like
the big thing that you're
I would
missing with Medusa is like I think Medusa right now is like a tier 2 deck. Um I would probably I think it's stronger than apps, but again, and it's probably going to see a lot more play. So it probably is a tier 1.5 deck. I just don't know how good it's going to be in the long run.
I I feel like I feel more confident of it being a tier 2 deck
Yeah, I'm
because
putting
what
it
I
in tier 2
definitely
for
see,
safety.
yeah, because I definitely feel like the Medusa is good in that we're probably going to see Medusa get used by the Galaxy deck, but like as far as like its own main deck, it's just kind of like a toss or turn kind of thing. Like we can even theoretically even see Medusamon even get used in the Tyrannomon deck, theoretically speaking, because it is a red Liberator card.
Um I don't know about that. Cuz she is if she was a reptile, there probably would be more argument, but she's a dragonkin. So I think there's less
Oh,
argument for that.
okay.
Um but
For some
like
reason, I thought there.
no, so the big thing is with Medusamon is looking at the outside tools because like yes, we do get two evolution lines for Medusa because we get the Agu Cyclone Cyber Wargray, which the Wargray plus Owen is like absolutely uh it's stupid. It's legitimately the dumbest thing ever because the Owen basically makes it so the Wargray can attack immediately after you play him. So he's just the perfect game finisher 100% of the time. It's so stupid. Um yeah, I could pay 11 memory to win the game. Like sure. Um Granted they have to be at 0 security, but just the fact that that's what you're going to be using him for is ridiculous. But no, so during some playtesting, the promo Flame Dramon is probably the best level 5 for the deck because he's doing exactly what the deck wants. He's removing security before the attack is finished. So
You
like
said level 5, or are you referring to level 4?
Flame Dramon, the armor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So level 4. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. For some reason, I thought I heard you say level 5, but yeah,
No,
my bad.
he's the best level 4 because you use that in combination with the egg plus Owen to bait the opponent into a really bad position where it's just like, okay, you're going to lose your security. I'm going to Digivolve rating mid attack into your Digimon. Could potentially Digivolve twice because of Owen. Um, like, it's just ridiculous. Or is it? No, it's not Owen. It's the egg. It's the egg that lets you Digivolve mid attack. And then. Uh,
It could theoretically get you into the level 5 with the progress, so it's not affected by
yeah.
Digimon effects when it's attacking. So
Yeah.
kind
No,
of what the deck
that's.
was trying to do and what we were thinking of.
The only issue with the deck is literally without Cybergermon, it just doesn't have high DP numbers. So, like, there are factors that are holding the deck back, which is why I think it is going to be, like, tier 2.
Yeah, because I think even like this is what's so funny to me is the fact that in the Liberator comics, like not trying to get side tangent, but in the comics you see Owen use like the starter deck one like option card that's like a one cost and everything to try to just DP boost himself and everything. It's like, oh god, that feels terrible seeing that.
Yeah, after playing against it a couple of times, the deck is in very desperate need of DP. Very desperate need. It's one of the few red decks that doesn't have an exuberant amount of DP gaining.
Yeah, because a lot of times they usually do.
Yeah. I think Gamamon is still borderline unplayable. His engine's just not good enough. Um, what else do we got? Oh, Shine Gray. Shine Gray is like one of the only other decks that's like worth mentioning. Because like Guilmon gets some upgrades. Arrestrogermon doesn't matter. Just as, like it matters, but just as much as Cross Hearts, which is not a lot, to next to nothing. So I think those are better than Siriusmon and Gamamon. I will say that, but I don't think it's enough to really elevate the deck out of the hole that it's currently in. Um, but yeah, so where do you think um, Shine Gray fits?
Part of me wants to say tier 2 because I mean it kind of depends on it's gonna because we Shine Greymon does have so much support that it can actually go into either be OTK or it could go more control based. So I think it's gonna depend on what the meta shows like, hey, this is what Shine Greymon needs to do. So for now, I want to say it's a tier 2 as definitely a contender. It just kind of where it could get placed higher kind of depends on what the current meta is and what it's asking for an answer, I guess, is kind of the thing. My personal opinion. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
Shine
think
Greymon still has access to like the BT 12 markets that allows you to Evo for free, so that's really good. It's got the Shine Greymon or Rise Greymons that could literally put your Marcuses in your security so you recover and actually could get your Marcuses played out again for free. That's really good. It could even just do the whole Shine Greymon Ruin mode, which is absurdly good because I mean we still see Ruin mode being like easily used in a lot of decks right now.
I think Shine definitely has some sleeper potential to be honest. I think like again, it's just the lack of innovation that people are going to do where it's just like, yeah, if I'm playing a yellow deck, it still probably is just easier and more beneficial just to play Sakuyamon. But I think Shine still has a lot going for him.
Yeah.
It's just I guess like again, this is where Galactic kind of comes into play where it's just like, okay, if purple hybrids, red hybrids, Shine start making a grander appearance, that Galactic just has an easier time into those decks because it'll just delete the Tamer. And if it could delete the Tamer early enough, then they really can't protect their Tamer as much as they want to. So things start becoming awkward pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think Shine's definitely got a deep enough toolbox to be able to figure something out to be able to be potentially more meta than tier 2. But I think like compared to a lot of the other decks that came out or are getting support this set, it's definitely looking like one of the better ones. Speaking of one of the better ones, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I'm gonna put Alliance or not Alliance Adventure into tier point 5.
I think that's fair because I've heard. I haven't personally theory crafted with the deck or anything, but I've been hearing people are doing shenanigans or cooking or actually experimenting with this deck. So I don't know if it's how good it is, but it sounds like there's something there that I just personally myself have not tried to explore or take a look into for my own personal opinion. So I can't give too much say in this. It does look like it has a lot of good stuff in it though, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it just seems like it's gonna be like a level 5 rush deck that just happens to have a couple of level 6 aces to just try to weasel its way out of bad situations with, and that's kind of like where the deck kind of seems to want to be. And I think it's actually because of the fact that it just got a lot of incidental support really quickly. It just has good enough tools to be able to actually execute its game plan.
Yeah, and then like we also mentioned too, like the fact that it has two of the best floodgates also, it's like pretty darn good in itself as well.
Yeah, built-in rookie floodgates for an aggro deck is really good. That's why I'm like partially putting it. I don't know how good it's actually going to be into some of the other like upper echelon decks. Like I think against Gallantmon, they could just delete everything and just have a good time. So again, don't exactly know how strong Adventures is going to be, but I do think it's going to be one of the more played and popular aggro style decks. You could play it controlly, but control in this game's usually not pretty good. It's more beneficial to win the game rather than to stop yourself from losing. Um, what else is actually worth mentioning in here? I think that's for the most part kind of it. Oh, I guess technically Examon got support, but literally outside of Draco X, I don't necessarily like. I think it's in the tier 3 category. Um, I think it got better. Like the Dracomon X is doing a metric buttload to heavy, like to hard carry the deck. Um, but I don't think Examon as a whole is going to be anywhere more playable
I
than
don't
he
think
was.
just that one card's enough to boost it up.
I mean, like it got its X antibody, but it's significantly weaker than the BT or the EX3 counterpart. It's like there's not much of a reason to actually Digifalf into him, which is sad. It's funny but sad because like even if you're using the Ace, you're losing keywords.
Yeah,
I think like the
yeah, it's
trade
like
off is you literally get one extra delete and one extra attack, which is like fine. It's a game
at
finisher.
that
It's not going to be
yeah,
doing else anything else.
that's like the thing. It's like a way to try to end the game. That's really how I see it.
Yeah. And then we got Three Muskets, which is still going to be borderline unplayable. I'm not even going to waste my time putting that up here.
Yeah. Um. Now, just out of curiosity, is the new Gomamon? I don't. I doubt it's Deep Seaver trait. Hold on, before I
No,
even open my mouth.
Goma is not going to be Deep Saver. It's Sea Beast
Yeah.
Adventurer.
Well, could they not actually search CBs? Like, I don't know
No,
if I highly doubt Gomamon's enough to justify Deep Saver, Deep Savers going up or anything. So
no. Gomamon is definitely not because Deep Saver is too insular. Because you could search it out with the Deep Saver Goma, but the problem is the new Goma is not a Deep Saver, so you lose out on a lot of the baked in synergy that the deck wants to play with.
right.
Because the deck also has like aquatic support and like I think like Seadramon's fine, but again, it's just the whole. Would you rather play Seadramon and be a bad like or a mid OTK deck, or would you rather just play Galaxy and just tell your opponent to like go play a different game?
Yeah. Trying to think.
I mean, we covered basically all of the new decks as far as like what we're expecting. Um,
Yeah, because I
based
highly doubt
on where
Magnamon
the
X.
current yeah, based on where the current format is.
Yeah, because like I know there's like some new like Vmons and Magnamon armor cards and everything. Like they help the decks and everything. Like the Hydramon, it's an easy replacement for the old one for the Imperial deck, but I doubt it's going to make it tier one. And there is a new Magnamon, there's a new Vmon, a new Davis, and an option card for the deck that
Yeah,
I
but
think is
those
going
that's all
to.
armor support, which is Magnamon already. So it's all just going into
Yeah,
Magnamon. That's the problem. It's like, yeah, you just made Magnamon an already good deck stay better than the rest of the competition.
yeah. I don't know if it would makes it better than the 1.5 tier. I think it helps keep it in that 1.5 tier.
Um, I think it just helps. Yeah, I think it just helps keep it there. I don't know if it's gonna actually go up a notch or not.
Hmm. I
Um,
mean,
but
other
yeah,
than
this
that,
is I like. I really can't There's a ton of like decks we could probably put into tier two and like a metric butt ton into tier three, but like honestly, I just don't think that they matter enough. Like tier two is already starting to get like kind of slim pickings because it's like, yeah, we do have a lot of the Liberator decks that are probably tier two. At least the good Liberator decks. As you could see with like Dino and Medusa, like they're relatively playable. I don't know how good they're going to be in the long run in the face of like literally what's at the very top. Because the unfortunate thing is, I don't think any of these new decks are going to be able to actually like be able to handle the gauntlet at the top.
yeah, and there's only one, and that's it. It's just one.
Well, you got three. I would consider Galactic, Red Hybrids, and Adventure the best things to come out of
Okay, yeah, yeah.
BT
My bad.
twenty
That's
one.
true.
And then like Purple Hybrids, the update to them, Applemon, Medusa, and Shine, I think are still all relatively playable. I just realized Wind Guardians doesn't have a level 7 DNA. Unfortunate for
What colors
them.
does it use? Hold on a second. It's like
It's
what? Green and blue?
green. Yeah, it's green blue.
I guess the only because they can't use Valder Arm. It has to be
No,
yellow.
I mean it can use
Wait,
other
wait, wait, no.
people's.
Puppet is Puppet black?
Yeah, Puppetmon's green black.
Maybe it could use Valder Arm then for a DNA partition.
I mean, it's using other
Maybe?
people's tools. The problem is setting up two level 7s or two level 6s. Like if the deck doesn't
Yeah.
have the ability to do that, then it can't DNA. Because all of the other decks were designed around the fact that they want to DNA.
Yeah. Because I mean, the only other level 7 I could think of is the Imperial Dramon Paladin mode Ace, but
Yeah, I mean
that's really
I'm not even gonna focus too much on Wind Guardians. It's unplayable. That's all you need to know is
yeah.
it's borderline unplayable. Um yeah, so like probably Rocks did get an update, so but that's like tier 3 at best.
Yeah, like it saw some early representation in 2.0, but then it just kind of died off after that.
Yeah. No.
And it only got just a level 3. It didn't get anything else, so kind of a level 3 does not make it's like the Examon. It's like the one level 3 does not justify it being good.
Right. So for the most part, this is kind of just our tier list from BT 20 and then where we expect the decks again to be in BT 21 when they come out. And the reason why this is important is because the last bit of information we have is store regionals. So there's two different types of store regionals, 64 and 32. I want to say bit, but um, maybe that's actually the bit. Is the fact that it's a 64 and 32 player capped. Um, and then they're starting in May. How many do we have?
When I counted 41, but I think I saw somebody said 43. But from what I did the math and everything, I think there was like it was like 20 in the 64 and 21 in the 32.
32 there is 23.
Oh, okay, that's where. Yeah, then I did miscount.
Yeah,
So
and
there is
then
43 then.
there's no, it's 46. So out of
46.
yeah, there's 46 total store regionals in May, which is pretty good.
That's extremely good because the first time they did the store regionals, there was like six maximum, and then the second
Yeah.
wave they kind of did another six. So the fact that they're doing like 46, and this is in the month of May, this is not June or July for the other 2 months. It's like that's kind of I don't know if they're going to do anymore for the other 2 months, but the fact
Oh,
that
maybe it's
already
a little
this
bit
first
less because you have some repeats. Oh no, those are two different stores. It's just in the same state. Okay. So yeah, you got like 46, which is pretty good. And a wide variety of states. So I'm not gonna obviously list them all because I might as well name the majority of the states in the U.S. But keep in mind this is for U.S. I don't know how it's going to be for other regions or territories, but that's a good sign showing that Bandai's at least caring enough to have multiple store regionals.
well, especially this big of store regionals. I mean, I don't know if this might be kind of like a little side tangent, but I don't know if the fact that there's a serialized Omni is why they couldn't do so many more. And I don't think there's gonna be a serialized card uh this time around up
No,
for
there's not.
grabs.
There's not.
So I don't know if maybe that's why they're able to do a lot more, maybe. But I that's kind of a superstition on my thing.
Yeah, I mean, it just so what this seems like is there's going to be a dramatic decrease in the large scale events that we have been used to, and instead they're upping these store events. And remember, this is the season we have two nationals. So if you get your invites to the like in wave 1, you could use that invite for either the first nationals or the second nationals. So you could bank them, and then hopefully you could try to get to worlds based off of going to nationals and doing well there. But there is no serialized card, I believe.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing one being up for grabs.
I'm just double checking on the website. Events.
But we do get the event packs that do contain the Shadramon's potential reprints. So that could honestly help with like the price of that, potentially speaking,
Yeah, I mean,
depending on how many are actually out there.
yes. Store championships May. So I don't know how often they're going to do the store regional waves. If it's going to be one every month, or if it's going to be one every like half season. So that's the other big distinction point. We don't know exactly how long and how many there's going to be in total. But yeah, there is no big prize card. It's just the finalist card set, and then some sleeves.
Yeah, kind of a somewhat of a letdown, but I'm honestly okay with sacrificing a serialized card if that means we got more of these. Because I mean, on like the uh other besides store regionals, like yes, they introduced like three other like bigger regionals, so to say, but it's like it's not like compared to like the big regionals of like 300 plus players playing. Compare that to last year to now, it's like really low numbers. So like I'm glad that we have high numbers of store regionals, like extremely high numbers. Like this is like three times more already than last year.
Yeah, so Bandai's trying a little bit harder when it comes to that front, on having more in-person events. I still don't see the reason why they can't keep up the online events. I know why, but I don't want to admit to why. Um, but at least we get more in-store play, which is good because they really need to support in-store play.
Yeah, and the fact that there's even just as many as there is, it's like to me already like that's kind of like what we were talking about. Like if they could even just do like 20 in like various different states each wave and everything is like just gonna be really good because it's like so accessible to go to those for players. They like not a big, so to say, drive or dedication or jet hint like tossing out money for just going to like across multiple states to go to one.
Uh, yeah. I mean, there's a couple in the same state, like Texas. Just as an example, I was scrolling through. Texas has like three or four. Arizona has like two or three. California has like two or three. So like, depending on where you are, you might have more. But hey, something like this is definitely a good step in the right direction. That's the best thing I can say is they are trying, and it sucks that we're losing the bigger events because that's where a lot of our more accurate data is going to be coming from. But at least we have more ability to try to support local play, to try to support more play in person, and who knows, maybe it'll be a little bit less sweaty because not every like I'm not going to travel to Arizona just to play in a store regional or something like. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Bandai decides to handle this going forward because before this we had no idea on how big nationals could potentially be. We still don't know if they would even do LCQs at either nationals, like last chance qualifiers. So there's a lot of things that they could do to potentially make it better. And I'm curious to see how this competitive year is going to turn out, especially since I'm not competing outside of like maybe one event, which is going to be my state's regional.
Yeah, and I still hope they actually do continue to do the invite pass down and everything as well. I mean,
They have no reason not to, literally no reason. If they take that away, they're just silly.
yeah, because then because like if you go like the fact that you said there's like the Texas one and everything has like four of them, like literally if one player goes to like all four states and like
Yeah, it
all
just
four of
means
those,
that they have more chances to be able to get in than somebody else from a state that only has one. That's all that really means. It's no different than me playing in every single online event that I used to play, and that was the whole strategy to get to nationals. Like I basically pretended it was like an online ranked ladder where it's just like it didn't care. I mean, I still had to be good and have above 50% win rate, but like it's more about the quantity rather than the quality, so to speak. So the more chances
right,
that you have, the higher chance you'll have, or the more chances you have, the more likely you are to succeed at least in one of them. It's just like throwing darts at a dartboard. Eventually, you're gonna hit that bullseye, and it just is how many darts you have to throw.
right.
So, but no, cool stuff all around. Bandai, outside of that ban and restriction dev letter thing, um, I think Bandai is definitely positioning Digimon to be very successful this year, and I'm excited to see if they could actually make the game like really good. Like I'm talking about really good. Like just curve some of the top decks, make it so that we have more interaction for some of the stuff, and the game's honestly fine. Like that's why we wanted more of a ban and restriction list, but like who knows? Maybe they'll actually start paying attention a little bit more once people start complaining about the meta. Like we always do, every single format, but depends on how loud we yell.
Well, and I'm also hoping that now that we're unified, they can actually just stop looking at just JP results and actually, kind of take into like everyone else's results as well. Because I mean, one of the cards that got restricted that we even mentioned, like, like we understand why they hit the starter deck Sting one, but it's just everyone else is going, but why?
Yeah, I know.
Kind of thing.
I mean, we know why. Now we do. But yeah, so that's all I want is like they're making good steps in the right directions, and I think if they could just hammer out more of a consistently good and timely schedule of bans and restrictions, I think the game will be in like the best shape it's been in years. Probably since like 2 year, probably 2 3 years. Yeah, because I think 2024 was kind of a wash. The power spike was astronomically dumb, and then the end of 2023 kind of ruined the whole year. It was a good year, but EX5 just and BT15 just took the sales out of a lot of people's took the wind out of a lot of people's sails. But yeah, no, I think like we're so close to a really good game. So close. And I'm not saying like that as a bad thing. Like, oh, the game is currently bad. I'm just saying the game could be better. So I
Yeah, it's
think
like not it's not terrible bad. It's just it's like trying to reach for something that's like barely out of your reach, and you could just barely touch it with the tip of your fingers.
yeah. So if they make the game more fun by having things be more fair, like it's not hard I mean, it's not hard to do. I mean, it kind of is hard to do, but it's not hard to ask for. Just make my game great again. So I think this is a good place to stop. We've gone long enough. Thank you everyone for coming out and listening and making it all the way to the end. Make sure to again do the whole social media doobly doo thing, and we will see you in the next episode. Later.